Hello beautiful people and welcome back to a very wild episode in which we want to test how much ninja blood runs through Mr. Po's veins. So in other words, yes, what we're gonna do in this episode is Po the Panda Bear versus Mr. Snake Eyes, and this is gonna be a very wild episode, and I strongly advise you to watch it till the end and see also the conclusion. First of all, yes, I hope you saw the episodes from 2 days ago and from yesterday. In other words, Po versus Stromoy and Po versus Bradley, because those conclusions were kind of easier for me to make when it comes down to the question if you should replace Bradley or if you should replace Stromoy. I highly recommend you guys to go watch those, not just to see the end conclusion, but also to understand exactly how I came up to that conclusion. But anyways, a massive shout out goes as always to Mr. Colossus from server 2216. Buddy, thank you very much for your time, efforts, and for helping us do these battle reports. I know for sure for me are absolutely super valuable, and I strongly think also for the community these battle reports and analysis actually must have a higher value. So let's go into the setup and see exactly what happened there. So beautiful people, we have a whopping 13 battle reports which I'm gonna present you in this video, and let's have a look first of all at the setup right here. And of course, don't get fooled by this result which you are actually seeing on the screen. So let's have a look at the setup right here. So we went with the Gypsy level 7 versus my Gypsy level 7, Striker with the level 7 versus Striker level 7 on my side. And of course here you see Snake Eyes versus Po the Fat Panda Bear with the level 5 skill. Let's have a look briefly at the gear right here, but you can see that better in the stats. Of course, you're seeing here the perks are set for the tanks, and of course, as always, we are not using the formation, we are not using the heavy trooper, we are not using the encirclement units, and we are using just normal units level 101. Here is the stats different right here, as you guys are used to from these videos, because I test always versus Mr. Colossus. So I have a slightly lower army HP, I also have a slightly lower army attack, but therefore I have 10% kind of higher army damage increase, and of course I have roundabout 34% less damage decrease. Let's have a look at the DEF of all units, which is not very big simply because we are not using the heavy troopers with their chips, and therefore yes, you see right here a very balanced DEF for army between us, and of course the DEF of all units is equal 63%. So what is the plan for this video? We're gonna have a look at all these 13 battle reports, and then I'm gonna put 2 battle reports on the screen, and you're gonna understand why I'm doing this once we are reaching that point in the video, in order to highlight as best as possible actually the difference between Mr. Po and Mr. Snake Eyes within this configuration. So this is the battle report, and what this video is actually highlighting here are these 2 major factors in TOPWAR. One is, of course, how many times does your hero proc, but the other factor is as important as the first one, which is when exactly did your hero start to proc. So that's exactly these 2 factors which gonna have a massive impact on all these battle reports. So this is the battle report number 1. Let's have a look at report number 2, which is this one. Yeah, this is the same setup, guys, but just the other way around, and it will go crazier and crazier during this video. It doesn't change the fact that we still can draw a conclusion here. So what you're seeing here is my Gypsy from 8 procs reaching 180t damage, and it's gonna get far higher later on in the video. Of course, versus his Gypsy, which is literally 3 times that much damage. Of course, we see 8 procs from my Striker versus 4 procs on his Striker, but have a look at the damage difference. It's almost 5 times higher. And of course, we see the damage of the Panda Bear versus Mr. Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is always a constant, and it's a great hero because we always refer the damage of a hero versus the total regular attacks. And if you're reaching at least this value of the regular attacks, it's considered to be actually a good performance, to be honest. Let's have a look at the next battle report. So here is the next battle report, and this looks a bit more close in result. And let's see exactly what happened here. Again, you see the amount of procs of my Gypsy being 8 versus his Gypsy being 7 procs. But again, the damage difference is huge. The same goes, of course, for Striker versus his Striker. I have twice as much procs, but have a look again at the damage output, which is literally almost 3 times higher. Good. Let's carry on with the next battle report, which is this one. And yes, we are still having the same setup, guys. And you can judge this by the amount of attacks in total. You see I had 16 regular attacks in total versus 28, which means, in other words, adding up also the performance of the heroes based by these damage values, it tells me, yes, his heroes proc far faster in the battle than me. And that's why we kind of reach this result right here. Yes, we have to mention only 2 procs from Po the Panda Bear, which is 61.8 T damage versus 100 T damage from the regular attacks. And if you look on the other side and compare the damage output of his Shinji Striker and Snake Eyes versus the regular attacks, yes, you see it's a far better match performance. Good, let's have a look into the next battle report, which is this one right here. So what happened here? A bit more bad luck on my side. And when we have a look at my Gypsy versus his Gypsy, it's kind of the same, more or less, but the difference is big between his Striker and my Striker. And of course, we see Po's damage and also the damage from Mr. Snake Eyes right here. Good, let's carry on with the next battle report. Here we go, this is the one, and yes guys, we are still having the same setup in God's name. Nothing absolutely changed here, the stats are the same, the heroes are the same, so yeah, let's have a look what happened here. And yeah, I told you, this will get a bit more crazier, but I will gonna explain this once we have both battle animations on the screen, exactly what is the tactic if you are choosing such a march like you see me having now on the screen. So yes, you see 11 procs for my Gypsy, and that's a 377 T damage. That's absolutely insane versus the performance of his Gypsy. So my Gypsy totally went crazy. What's also super important to mention here is the performance of Striker versus his Striker. So even though you see literally almost the same amount of procs, I have literally 4 times higher damage than him. And that's super crazy. Good, let's go into the next battle report, which is this one right here. And yes, you are seeing here literally the opposite of the battle result which you just experienced a second ago. And again, this is justified more or less by the fact when do the heroes proc exactly in the battle, and of course also the amount of procs. Both factors being absolute super important. And again, let's just pick this example right here, 4 procs on his Striker versus 3 procs on my Striker, and have a look at that difference. Good, let's go into the next battle report. A very crazy one. Yeah, the procs were absolutely bad on my side, so yeah, only 2 procs from Mr. Striker is absolutely very poor. Not to mention that you see my Striker not even reaching this value which my regular attacks done in total as damage, meaning in other words, it's absolutely a very bad performance from my Striker. And paired, of course, with the constant performance of his Snake Eyes and, of course, a little bit higher damage output from his Gypsy, this is exactly what happened in here. Good, let's have a look at the next battle report, which is this one right here. And this is a little bit a more tighter race, seeing that my Striker and his Striker are literally the same. My Bear went over the top with those 10 procs, super crazy. I didn't quite succeed to beat him, but it's a very honorable result right here. Let's have a look at the next battle report. And yes, we have 4 more battles to go, guys, so pay attention. Here, this one, oh my god, this is absolutely catastrophe, and you can see already exactly where the issue is, which are these 2 absolutely massive factors in TOPWAR when your hero procs and how many times does it proc. Good, let's roll into the next battle report, which is this one here. And yeah, have a look at this. My Gypsy was absolutely super lucky versus his Gypsy, also from the damage output. You see Striker versus Striker here, even though it's pretty close from the amount of procs, the damage output is 2.5 times bigger on my side. And of course, you see the bear going absolutely banana, or should I say eucalyptus mode, and done 201t damage. That's absolutely a great performance. Of course, we have to compare it always with the regular attack value, which is twice as big, which tells me absolutely a great performance. Good, let's have a look into the next battle report. And we have 2 more to go before we draw a conclusion. So here is another battle report and the result attached to it. So yeah, what is also worth to mention or to keep also an eye on is of course always the performance of Snake Eyes versus the Panda Bear, which not necessarily is here only to hit, but also to give me an extra offense buffing capability. But I will gonna explain exactly the plan behind my march and how good is it. Good. Let's have a look into the last battle report, people, before we're gonna put 2 battle reports on the screen. And this is, yes, another one. And again, here we should highlight again the constants of Mr. Snake Eyes, reaching 83.60 damage from 66.6 total regular damage output. And what are we gonna do now? Let me put 2 battle animation on the screen, and I will also gonna mark them into the worst performance, that's from my perspective, and also the best performance, also from my perspective. And let's have a chat about Panda in this configuration. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for Mr. Snake Eyes? So as promised, let's put 2 battle reports on the screen. On the left side, you see that battle report in which I was extremely unlucky. And of course, on the right side of your screen, you are seeing that battle report in which I was super lucky in the performance. And let's start to chat about this Panda Bear. So as you saw in the episodes, Paul versus Gypsy. Yes, indeed, Paul has a slightly better performance than Gypsy, but is this a reason enough for you to say I'm gonna take Paul the Panda Bear to 5 stars, and presumably the vast majority of you guys is gonna take him to level 5 exclusive skill? Is this enough? And from my perspective, I don't think this reason is enough. But of course, there is a second reason which you may have. Simply taking Gypsy from your tanks and put him on Navy, or put him on the planes, or actually use directly Paul on planes and on Navy. And yes, these 2 reasons together justify to 5-star and bring the bear to level 5 exclusive skill. But you also saw in the episodes from yesterday and the day before Paul's performance versus Stromoy and versus Bradley, and that was actually far more easier for me to highlight that he is not necessarily replacing these heroes even though they are old. But here we want to take the conclusion between Paul and Mr. Snake Eyes, which is better, or in other words, should Paul replace Snake Eyes? And what I have presented you in this video are 13 battles from which I have won 4 times, and my opponent with Mr. Snake Eyes has won 9 times. Now, is this a reason enough for us to say yes, is Snake Eyes actually even better than Paul? I don't think that's the case, because I am a little bit more cautious when it comes down to this analysis. That's why my result on this evaluation is, if you are having Snake Eyes right now, especially also with the level 5 exclusive skill, there is absolutely no reason to replace him with Paul. And by the way, a quick side note right here, which is super important for me, for the vast majority of you guys, probably a bit less more important, but there are some cases here and there of viewers which claimed I'm literally getting these items from Riva Game for free. So you know what, let me put this briefly on the middle of the screen in order to show you, yes, I am going for Paul level 7 exclusive skill. You are seeing here that I'm buying every day these packs, and I have a certain plan. I don't want to go over this $200 limit per day in order to get also those boxes and turn them into universal hero skill charts. So from this perspective, also what is important to mention here is that me and also Mr. Colossus will have Po with the level 7 exclusive skill by the next weekend, which is in 1 week from now. And of course, we're gonna do another video on Po with level 7 exclusive skill. So while this setup right here, Gypsy Striker and Po the Panda Bear can give me some absolutely crazy results if I am lucky to get at a certain point in battle a certain amount of procs. On the other side, you're actually seeing a very constant performance from Mr. Snake Eyes, and that's why I think this video is absolutely super important, because it highlights, even though we see these very high numbers on Po the Panda Bear, this is not a consistent performance. Or in other words, this video right here is literally taking the pressure off your shoulders if you already have invested in Snake Eyes, because you're seeing exactly how Po the Panda Bear actually performs versus Mr. Snake Eyes. So anyways, beautiful people, there are still a few more episodes we can do regarding this hero. Of course, I would like to see him also versus Asuka, even though I can already tell you right now, there will be no winners and there will be no losers in those battle reports, because again, both these heroes are universal heroes and have the highest value possible as a hero for your account. So beautiful people, don't forget to take a moment of your time to check if you are subscribed to this channel, because that plays a massive role for me and also for the community, because I will carry on to do so. And not just that, we're gonna use these numbers which I'm showing River Game every single week, the amount of unique viewers which came to this channel, to highlight that yes, we are many, and yes, we are organized, and I don't need these subscribers in order to fish myself some sponsorship, because a few of you already know and saw it on our Discord channel that I literally refused all the sponsorships which were offered to me by River Game, by Lilith Games, by another bigger company, because this is not my goal to recommend you stuff, but I'm here in order to help you guys get better at this game, because this game is fantastic. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to see me in the next episode. Ciao!